Hey everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about something I see come up over and over again, not just with my own clients, but in my own story too. That moment you realize you're not just living, you're just surviving. When you're not even drowning, you're treading water with a smile on your face, while your muscles cramp, your lungs ache for air, and deep down, you know you can't keep going like that any longer. 10 years ago, I was everything to everyone: a professional lawyer, a mother, a wife, a daughter, a student, a sister. I was anxiety-ridden. I was exhausted. But you wouldn't have known. From the outside, I looked high-achieving, stable, maybe even successful. People thought I came from a loving, thriving family. People saw the money I was making and thought, I wish I had that. People saw the smiling, regulated children and thought, wow, what a great mom. People saw me showing up every day, functioning, performing, and attending to their needs and thought, she really has it together. But inside, I was screaming. I didn't have a good relationship with my siblings. Nobody in my family was talking about our childhood and young adolescent traumas. And I was the only one bleeding out, it seemed. Emotionally, desperate for someone to just say, hey, maybe what we went through was actually really hard. I was waiting for a mother to apologize for the decisions that she had made that led to some pretty terrible events. I was struggling for connection, emotional relief, grief to overcome me from all the things I had lost too soon. I waited and waited for my external reality to shift so that I could regulate into it, sigh with relief, and finally feel safe, but it never happened because I wasn't looking at myself. I was looking at everything and everyone around me and telling them they had to change. I was trying to save everyone, my clients, my marriage, my children, my parents, my siblings, my friends, from pain. But I hadn't even acknowledged my own. And it took a complete emotional collapse, burnout so deep it made me question everything, to realize I couldn't keep living this way. One day, my mother and I came to blows physically, and I realized my childhood and my young adulthood had not been as healthy as I once thought. I was putting caregivers on a pedestal, expecting them to meet unspoken demands, and then resenting them when they couldn't meet unspoken expectations. I was looking down on everyone else, those who weren't accomplishing what I was, and trying to reason with them why my way, my view, my behavior was right and theirs was wrong. In return, I was called self-righteous. I was intolerable. I was too much, too burdensome, and asked to go away. People said I had narcissistic tendencies. People said I thought I knew better and I was selfish and self-centered. The reality was that I was just trying to help them see how their behaviors made it so difficult to live with them, that they were the ones with unhealthy behavior, and it took a complete emotional collapse, burnout so deep it made me question everything, to realize I couldn't keep living this way. One day, my mother and I came to blows physically, and I realized My childhood and my young adulthood had not been as healthy as I once thought. I was putting caregivers on a pedestal, expecting them to meet unspoken demands, and then resenting them when they couldn't meet unspoken expectations. I was looking down on everyone else, those who weren't accomplishing what I was, and trying to reason with them why my way, my view, my behavior was right and theirs was wrong. In return, I was called self-righteous. I was intolerable. I was too much, too burdensome, and asked to go away. People said I had narcissistic tendencies. People said I thought I knew better and I was selfish and self-centered. The reality was that I was just trying to help them see how their behaviors made it so difficult to live with them, that they were the ones with unhealthy behavior. The real reality was that I lacked boundaries, I lacked self-respect, and I lacked a framework to understand that I couldn't control them with advice, reasoning, justifications, explanations, pleading, begging, crying, and any form of emotional manipulation. I can only say, I am worth more, and I demand it for myself. You will either meet me there or you won't. That is your choice. It took me 10 years to get there, and it's still hard. I want to be the first person in your life, in your experience, to tell you that you deserve to say those words. But I know more than anyone how difficult it is to get there emotionally and physically. It was honestly the hardest work I have ever done. So why do we avoid starting the healing work? Well, here's what I've learned since all of that. Most people don't start healing when things are okay, but not functioning. They start healing when they're done trying to hold it all together with duct tape and they've become completely unglued. It's not because they're lazy or they procrastinate or they don't care. It's not because they don't want it bad enough. It's because their fears are real. What if I fall apart and I can't put myself back together? What if I start remembering things I've tried to forget and I really have no desire to remember again? What if my family gets angry with me for telling the truth? What if I realize I've built my entire life around people pleasing or avoiding rejection? And what if I end up alone? What if I think I'm right, but in the end, I'm wrong? What if other people outside my circle won't understand? What if I can't do this by myself? So we wait. We tell ourselves, it's just not the right time. I'm just being dramatic. I should be grateful for what I have. Other people have it worse than me, so what am I complaining about? These stories sound like humility, but often they're just fear in disguise. They're the excuses our brain puts out there so that we stay protected from change and the unfamiliar. It really wasn't until I had finally accepted that I couldn't fix everything outside of me, that I couldn't control the legal system, I couldn't control the narratives of the clients I was representing. I couldn't even be their counselor, I was just their advocate, and they told me so. Or even the way my family avoided the past. That I finally turned the focus inward at myself. And that was honestly absolutely terrifying. Because when you spend your life helping others, doing for others, making them safe, making them okay, when you're the strong one, the together one, the responsible one, the oldest, or whatever your narrative is, looking at your own pain can feel like betrayal, like weakness, like failure, like your identity as the professional, the caretaker, the emotionally regulated child has just crumbled and you have to now figure out who you are again. But truly, it's not any of those things. It's honestly the bravest thing you'll ever do. So what shifts when we choose ourselves? Well, what I see, what I know, is that healing starts when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of the change that comes with it. When the anxiety isn't just a nuisance, it's a signal that you have abandoned yourself too long and you'll drown if you don't do something about it. When the burnout isn't just about being tired, it's about being completely misaligned and not knowing ourselves, and a reliance on wishing we could change the past and diving deep into depression. When our kids mirror back to us the pain that we've been hiding behind perfectionism. Healing begins the moment we stop performing in our lives and we start actually inhabiting them and living. It begins when we ask questions like, what would my life look like if I let myself feel? Who would I be if I just stopped abandoning myself to keep the peace for everyone else? What could shift if I allowed myself to fully be seen, even by me? So if you're here right now, wondering where do I even begin, this is what I want to say to you. You start exactly where you are with the truth. I'm tired of surviving. I want more than this, and I think I need help. That's enough. That's everything. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need a diagnosis. You don't even need to know what you're healing from yet. You just need to not give up on yourself. We all have excuses we use to delay our own healing. Look, I've heard it all because I've said it all. Therapy is too expensive. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just too scary to start. What if my therapist doesn't get it? Well, you get to choose again and again until you find the right fit. What if I don't have time? Well, ask yourself, what is this pain already costing you? Because I would spend days spinning out, not doing any work, even when I was sitting at my desk. What if my boundaries cause me to be alone for the rest of my life? Who will care about me? Well, ask yourself, how many times have you already abandoned your needs for the sake of others anyway? And have you actually been surrounded with others who care about you, or were you really just alone in a sea of unfamiliar faces, surviving? These aren't just logistical concerns, they're protective strategies. Our brains are smart. They know healing means change, and change threatens the systems we've built to survive. But survival mode isn't living, it's just enduring. And you deserve so much more than that. Look, I don't know your story yet, but I do know this. If you're here, if you're watching this, if something inside you says, I don't want to live like this anymore, then you're already on the path to starting your healing journey. You're asking the questions. You've already taken the first step. And no, it's not going to be perfect. It won't be linear. It won't be pretty all the time. It will be angry and messy, but it will be worth it because you're worth it. And when you finally tell yourself that, you'll begin. So maybe you let this be the day you stop waiting for permission from everyone else, waiting for permission from yourself. Let this be the day to say, I'm not here to just survive. I'm here to heal. I'm here to live. I'm here to find out who I am. I'm rooting for you. I really am. I want this for everyone. It is not a weak person's journey. If this was enough to jolt you into asking for help, wherever you may be, then I say let's celebrate that together, here, in our hearts. I'm so proud of you for just asking the first question. And if you aren't sure where to go next, I do offer one-on-one coaching, and you can book with me below. But no matter what you choose to do, thank you for being here. honestly, thank you for giving me your time, which is a resource we never get back. Thank you for being curious enough to find the help you deserve. And regardless, I will see you in the next one.